Rich Rodriguez said it himself. There are a lot of missed evaluations on this year's team. We're going to call them out, man. Just call it like it is. These guys are paid after all, and criticism is fair.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Guys, welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, where we're doing a episode on some busts. And I understand that may not be a popular topic, but we're doing it anyway, so hopefully you enjoy it. We're going to talk about it as usual. We're also going to be talking about the basketball team, too. The Big 12 Media Days is going on for basketball. That's exciting. But before we do, guys, make sure to, obviously talk about the channel sponsor. We always do that first, and that is Game Time. And right now with Game Time, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. I'm not here alone, man. I've got my buddy. He's been coming on lately with me, Troy from Mountaineer Moment. Your show's growing a little by little here, and hopefully coming on the show helps you with that. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. No doubt it helps. It's really cool to see the Mountaineer Moment movement, as I'm calling it. It's been really great lately.
That's nice.
Owe a lot of that to you, Mountaineer Paul. So appreciate you having me on so often lately.
No problem, man. No problem. So Ross Hodge and company are doing big things right now at Media Days. We just saw that. And then we also got some not so good things to talk about. If you had to go first, who would you consider to be a guy that you were really looking forward to seeing this year that just hasn't played up to snuff yet?
Yeah. The whole offensive line, I mean, obviously there's a few pieces there. I would say Walter Youngbear's one for me. He just, he was a name that was obviously a cool name because it's Youngbear last name. That's crazy. And you were like, all right, you're big on him. One, because he's experienced and, he certainly brings a lot to the table in that regard, you were thinking. But he has been, PFF grades him terribly. Just the eye test, it just doesn't work. He's been really, really bad, and he's played a lot of snaps for West Virginia this year. So he was one that seemed to be, as far as all the offensive line guys that came in, he seemed to be one of the names that's getting a lot of conversation coming in, and we thought for good reason. Yeah. At least I did. You fooled me, and he's been bad. So disappointing for sure.
Agreed. And he's such a nice guy. Like, I saw his interviews. This is the hard part. It's like with Neil Brown. It's like, okay, I could acknowledge that he's a super guy and also criticize the on-field product and not muddy the two up together, right? One doesn't mean the other. Sometimes they go together, right? But in this case, I feel like, at this point, there was some writing on the wall after Zach Alley mentioned it in his press conference last week. Like, sure, would we love to see Jamori Robinson come in shape? We need him to be a dude. We need him to come off the edge. We need him to know his keys. Those, in my opinion, based off what I went back and watched this week at UCF and what other people have told me, are things that just kind of came true, right? And I think the fact that he wasn't in shape coming in is the big deal. That's kind of an indicator, right?
Right.
And this makes you wonder, these guys have already received their money, I'm guessing. I don't really know how it works, or at least a large portion of it. You go get a guy like Jalen Henderson, who I really thought was going to play well for us. I did. I called that, and I can admit I was wrong about it. And I had him on my show, right? I love the guy. But, I had somebody that is close to that situation reach out to me yesterday and saying he's not coming back. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm not going to sit here and say and break it and say for sure he's not coming back yet, but somebody close to that situation told me he wasn't yesterday. So it's me just spitballing a little bit, but I guess I would probably put him on there, especially if he doesn't come back and try to right the ship when we're so down and out, right?
Right.
I mean, I get it if you're injured, but I mean, there's also like seeking the second opinion route that Nico went and just kind of abandoning everybody. is how that feels. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but Nico was here for years and everything. This was a little different. And I think so. I would probably go Jamori Robinson, number one. Probably go with Tykees Crawford right there in the top 3 or 4 guys as well. I think, he has been just a really bad player, especially on the right side with Kimo Macaniole. I think you lump those two together because they played so bad together.
Yep.
Most people that you talk to think that Cray and Livingston are being drugged down by the bad play of everybody else.
Interesting. Yeah, could be the case, certainly. All those names fit. I hadn't even thought about Henderson, but yeah, it makes sense. And it's unfortunate, right? As you mentioned, great dude. And certainly the talent there and, the weapons around him, the offensive line in front of him certainly didn't help things when he was on the field.
No, and that's the part that you have to consider.
Yeah. And that's why it's really hard to weigh or, be able to divvy up the blame, if you can say it that way. Like, how can you really do that? A name that I think of defensively that I was really excited about, and I've been pretty vocal lately about the defensive backs and how they've struggled as of late, especially to start Big 12 play. Justin Harrington's a name for me because he's been in college football for 15 years or whatever. What was his 8th season of eligibility for West Virginia?
It was his 8th, yeah.
And, injuries and all that, obviously we were hoping for a full-on recovery for him, as anybody would, but just hasn't been that guy that you thought he could be or would be for whatever reason this season.
Yeah. You know how bad it is right now? Rich Rodriguez is going to watch highlights of next year's incoming recruiting class to get away from the negativity. He literally said that yesterday. He said, I'm going to leave the press conference and go watch next year's recruiting class just to get away from everything. Like, that's what he just
yeah.
Come on, man. Yeah. Is it that bad? Is that just because, if you look at his body language yesterday, he was like this.
Yeah.
He was like, if you ever listen to a body expert break that down, a body language expert, when people are closed in, it means they don't want to be approached or talked to. And
right.
You could tell Rich Rodriguez was only fulfilling his media obligation yesterday. He did not want to have to answer any of these questions. And he kind of fired one off at old Mike Ossity, didn't he? You're going down a negative way there. So, I don't know how much of it you got to see, but yeah. So that's, one of those situations where I'm like, come on, man. I hesitate for anybody on the offense only because I really feel like you don't know without the O-line.
Yeah.
I just you can't really say, right?
Right. I'm not going to sit here and say Cam Vaughn's a bust, right?
No, he's not a bust. I don't think he is.
Absolutely not.
The ball's not even getting thrown 6 or 7 times a game.
I wrote an article, I guess, yesterday. I feel bad for him and Rodney Gallagher the most, because they're just not getting opportunities. And when they have, they've done good things, but it's just few and far between.
You just have to hope they come back next year and make it right.
Yep.
Guys like Darren Lewis have played well at times this year. Guys like, obviously Jason Chambers had an excellent PFF grade in the 80s the other day. Mm-hmm. He's been a really pleasant surprise. And of course, there's other guys too on the defenses individually that have played well. So there are guys that are doing things, well over there. It's just too many people, to really notice that are doing the wrong thing.
Right.
And, I would probably say almost any other transfer that you brought in kind of hasn't been what you would hope. Right. So it is what it is.
Yep. Well, and that's, and a lot of that would get hidden if there were so many guys having success and we're sitting here talking about a team that's playing well. You're going to hide your weak spots, but the problem is there's so many weak spots this year.
Well, hopefully we can do what Oklahoma State did, and that's play better after you bench some of the more high-priced guys, because that's what happened for them.
Yeah.
Cody Stovall came on the other day and said, look, we actually started being competitive in games with teams after we benched some of our big-time Power 4 transfers. And it's exactly what – and then we're going to move on here. It's exactly what Zach Alley said. I think this is the pivotal thing in today's world, and I wanted to get your take on this, Troy. He said, listen, some of these guys have heard 3 or 4 voices throughout their career. When you've got a guy and you bring him in as a freshman, or even if it's a transfer that comes in as a freshman or sophomore, they've only heard your voice for 3 years, 2 years, 4 years sometimes. And by the time they're juniors and seniors, there's this image of the coach on the field. And when you're bringing in these hired guns, and so many of them, there's just no culture set. There's no culture for them to fall in line with. And it's like, one rotten apple spoils the bunch. Well, in this case, it's like could be 15, right? Especially if you missed on some evals, like on the personality traits, because I think physically you could make the case that Jamoy Robinson, like he was graded a 3rd round pick at the end of last year at UTSA or in that range, right? He was a 3rd to 5th round guy, I think. So he said, you know what, I'm going to get better, go power 4 and try to up that.
Yep.
Coming in and out of shape isn't a way to do that, right? So unfortunately for him, it's probably going to have to be a undrafted free agent and make it that way, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm just curious about what your take on that is.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree, and I think it's just getting increasingly more difficult. Basketball, football, college sports in general, with the transfer portal, it's really hard to bring in guys that have been there, done that. Talent, regardless of talent, because again, how much are you really, really taking with you from year to year if you're hopping from program to program? And it's the new era of college football, and so it's almost like it's there's a fine line to walk when it comes to, again, bringing in the guys that aren't going to be a distraction, aren't going to be a locker room cancer, that kind of thing. And some of that we'll never really know based on this West Virginia team this year. We're never really going to find out exactly what went wrong behind the scenes other than what we see on the field. But you have to think there's some of that. And with my concern, I guess you could call it, with that is like, while Rich Rod said it's not going to, we're not going to have 81 new players next year, but we're still going to have lots of guys every single year coming in, and there's going to be transfers every single year. And Rich Rod is such a big guy when it comes to culture and hard edge and setting the tone, and it's going to be different from your previous stops and all that.
Right.
How much success, and don't hear me the wrong way, right? How much success can a coach like that have in this era of college football where it's so drastic?
That's why he's aiming for the high school range, 35 guys, right?
Yeah.
Because, he's anticipating this probably being a 5 to 8 year stop for himself. And it's just not all going to get done in 1 year, even though we're going to complain about it. As long as he doesn't get fired, he's going to have a chance to get it turned around.
Yep.
And, I think by the time year 3 rolls around, we'll definitely have a much different team on the field here. And I think a lot of us wanted it to be year 2 at longest. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. We have to see how the offseason goes. Like he said, if you've got enough money, you can get healthy in a hurry. Yeah. And he didn't mean on the field to this year. He meant as a program, you can heal in a hurry if you got enough money. And that's why he's throwing numbers outside the cap around like 10 or 13 million. That's what Texas Tech did. So if Texas Tech can do it and do what they look like this year, why can't we do it and be in that conversation and look like even a Houston this year, right? They're in year 2.
I know.
It's possible.
Yeah. Well, for us too. Well, I'll just say too, I think it's increasingly important for us to make the right calls, right decisions, right offers when you're offering guys out of high school. We got to hit on them.
We got to hit, correct. After the break, we're going to talk about Big 12 Media Days as Ross Hodge and company are discussing the players that are on the team and exactly what some of their strengths are, as well as some other things that I'm really excited about. We talk about that next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our friends, of course, and always, we love talking about Mazda. Look, with Mazda, it's one of those things that if you didn't know, now you know. They deliver cars with confidence. And with every ride, you have more IHS top safety picks than anybody else as of August 2025. With the all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail. Because when you make every move count, impossible it's going to become pretty irrelevant. And you can absolutely be like Mazda if you want and move and be moved. And of course, we have to talk about our friends at Peloton, right? We know about Peloton, and maybe I don't know about Peloton. I need to learn about Peloton, obviously, don't I? It's shaping the future in fitness with the brand new Peloton cross training powered by Tread Plus. Look, Peloton IQ is where it's at, guys. It's the most advanced equipment yet. It's designed to give you real time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that make you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized training class recommendations keep you engaged. You can get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com and Mazda. We're in segment 2. And, of course, I'm not going to crack a do because I can't no more. I'm going to unmute you now. Your keyboards are going okay, man. I wrote it down verbatim. Ross Hodge had some cool stuff to say on the stage today about this team. I'm getting excited, Troy.
Me too.
Have you had a chance to see the little 8-minute press conference yet or no?
No. Says to be fresh. Let's go.
Okay. So Ross Hodge had a lot to say today, and he had a lot to say on your player, Chance Moore, was the guy they talked about. So this is the busiest week of basketball so far this year for men's and women's. And we're going to be covering women's on this show this year because I do think the women's team has got a chance to be not just good, but really good. Are you covering the women's too, Troy?
No.
Okay. Well, if you hang out with me enough, you're going to learn about them because they've won 27 or more games 2 straight years in a row.
I do that.
And they have the best recruiting class they've ever had. Jordan Harrison's back. Like, it's going to be like this is year 3 for him, right? Or 4. So I really do think Kellogg, and I had him on the show a few months ago. Great dude. Really looking forward to them. But back to Ross Hodge for a minute. This is the busiest week of the season already for this team, Troy. Like Wednesday, obviously today, Big 12 Media Day. Friday, you've got Ballin' at the Woodburn against Wheeling University. Or no, Ballin' at the Woodburn is just like a meet and greet kind of deal. And then Sunday, you've got the exhibition versus Wheeling on ESPN+. That's already one heck of a slate. And if you look at Coach Rogers' comments on West Virginia players, they talked about a lot of different things up there in that 8 minutes. I mean, it was a very compact and a ton of information. I'm talking about, I got about a page and a half of info out of that 8-minute segment. So he talked about Trey Eaglestaff first, that he's a prolific scorer who wants to be coached hard and asked for it. And this is almost verbatim, but I had to shorten it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. He said he aims to become more efficient. On Chance Moore, I mean, he just said all kinds of crap. He said he's versatile, he's experienced, he's got position. He's been
listening to the Mountaineer moment.
Huh?
He's been listening to the Mountaineer moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. He said Chance Moore is versatile, experienced, has positional size. He allows them to play bigger with him on the wing and downsize to a small ball 4. He said he's also really strong and able to get into the paint at will. He also said that he saw him in person at a conference tournament and started eyeballing him for his own team beyond that. Jackson Builds, great locker room guy, can play a small ball 5 or a power forward if you need at the 4 spot. He's got NCAA tournament experience, and he said a key element of this team is every player they brought in had a winning background.
Yep.
Everybody, all the way down to Amir Jenkins, who almost never lost in high school. And he said all these players have been part of successful programs. Key elements in evaluating the transfer portal, he said, be quick but don't hurry. Quoted John Wooden there. He said you have to maintain a level of urgency while also doing your due diligence. He said character matters, but you must have enough talent. Coach referenced working for Coach Larry Eustace at Iowa State. I didn't know he did that, who won 2 Big 12 tournaments. championships, or Big 12 championships, not tournament championships. And he said, this is the quote he gave from Eustace: "You never see a donkey win in the Kentucky Derby." And, so he said, you got to get horses in. You got to bring in talented players. And he said, this team prioritizes players who love basketball and love people. And this is the combination, in his opinion, that fosters success. Honor Huff spoke and said, Jasper, Florida, our point guard, Jasper brings a leadership role that cannot be taught. He controls the pace and he controls the team, and we follow his lead. Both he and Trey, he talking about him and Trey now, they're roommates. He said they both have a gravitational pull that pulls defenses apart, and it forces defenses to decide whether to help or stay tight. And he's, so there's a lot of info there, obviously. And, one of the other things that Jasper said that I know you'll love as a youth pastor is he said, listen, he said, I'm a follower of Jesus, just like Coach Hodge is. That's why I followed him here. So that instantly made, if you're a person of faith, going to make you fall in love with Jasper right off the rip from just saying that alone. Not trying to make it religious or anything for anybody, but there are those of us that value that. So that was cool. A lot of info packed into that tight 8 minutes there. I pretty much got you the gist of it.
Yeah.
They did show a clip of Honor where the guy who played college ball was interviewing, broke it down, and I'll turn this down. It's like it overrides it. He was like having Honor break down the play basically on a pick and roll, but it was one where Honor uses pivot foot. So like he got the ball triple threat stance, then he pivoted over like this off the pick as to get that dude's momentum going with him. Like his back was to the guy, and then he just hurried up and pivoted back really quick off the screen, and then did the step back 3, and was having to break that down. So I know there's not really a big point in there, but do you have any takeaways from all that?
Oh my gosh, you got me excited. I just got my Final Four tickets because I'm pumped. I really am. I just think the more I've looked, and I've done a deep dive quite a bit on the whole Big 12 and as of late. And what I came out of that, if I could summarize what my findings over the last week or so, just doing that deep dive, is I feel more excited or more willing to say that this team's going to compete than I did even prior. And I had confidence in this team previous to that. But we've got players. I love what Ross Hodge continues to mention with the winning pedigree, because these guys do have it. Obi Oha made the NCAA tournament. Jackson Fields made the NCAA tournament. Honor Huff won the NIT with Chattanooga. Brandon Laurier and Jasper Floyd made the NIT, made a run there. Chance Moore's St. Bonaventure team went 22-12, I think, last season. Like, there are players that are coming from winning teams, and it's mid-major and this and that, and there's lots of people that are really, really concerned with that because of the football team and what they've done, bringing in so many guys and from other smaller programs. But basketball is a different breed. You cannot make the same conversation about the two things. Not saying that there's not going to be struggles with some of these players at times playing up to another level, but basketball is just different, man. And it just is. And we've seen time and time. I think the way I described it, we've seen time and time again, a kid make the jump from mid-major to high major basketball and have success time and time again. The only thing is that with West Virginia, we're not needing one or two pieces to do it. We're needing all of them to make that jump well. And I think they can. I got confidence in this team. And there's going to be a learning curve and adjustment to playing with each other. But like early on, like I could see them having a lot of success.
Man, you got me fired up just by that little speech right there. That's why you should go subscribe to the Mountaineer Moment, man. Troy obviously doing good work. And then when he's not doing good work, he does the Lord's work for a living. How about that? So I know you had a 6 o'clock kind of thing to cut off, so we'll get moving here. But really quick, I do want to play a quick clip from that media thing on Jasper Floyd here. So that I think a lot of us will like. And if you're not a Christian, then just, it's like I was told in recovery, take what you can and leave the rest. But I just really wanted to let Troy hear this.
And why?
Number one is he's a follower of Christ, as I am. He's defensive first mindset.
So before he got into anything, he said he's a follower of Christ as I am. Then he went into the defense. So that just lets you know the kind of character that this coach prioritizes.
Yeah.
And like I said, whether you believe in or not, I'm not trying to push it on anybody, but it's something I think is cool, right? So as somebody who's had to come from rock bottom, as a lot of you guys know, I had to prioritize a God greater than myself in life, and not quit making myself God. So that's something that I don't talk about on here hardly ever at all. But since he said it, I figured I would at least point it out. It's pretty cool stuff. So it gives us even a little more confidence for this team.
Oh, absolutely. And out the gate, we've known about Ross Hodge being just such a high character individual.
Correct.
He's recruiting high character individuals, which is really, really encouraging to see. And Jasper Flood, I was blown away by his press conference a few weeks ago, like the 35 or maybe like 25 minutes. The kid, he's very confident, very, very confident, but humble too. So love to see it.
Going to break. After the break, guys, we'll put a quick bow on this, and thank you for your time. We'll be right back. Locked On West Virginia with Mountaineer Moment. All right, guys. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our friends at Game Time. And look, when it comes to Game Time, it's a pretty simple thing, as I like to say. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. Let's be real. Actually, getting tickets can feel a bit more like the battle than the game itself, with endless queues, hidden fees, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees, which sees what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase where the terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off today. That's swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today and ask yourself the question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. Back with Troy from Mountaineer Moment. What are you laughing about?
You're just good at what you do, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. A lot of practice. My dude.
I know. You've been at this thing a while.
Yeah. Guys, check out Troy at Mountaineer Moment. Appreciate you for jumping on here, brother. It's been great. Been fun. I've got another crossover tonight, which I will see you guys for here at 7-ish. It's going to be with the Locked On TCU guy. If you haven't seen Darren yet, he is elite, man. He is really good. And he's got this thing he does on his show, which is just can I show you really quick?
Yeah,
it's the opening of his show. It's like too cool for school. Like I couldn't pull it off, but he can. Hold on, let me show you guys real. Huh?
He's got that it factor.
Yeah. I think it's Locked On Horned Frogs. It could be Locked On TCU. It's Locked On Horned Frogs. Okay. Let me show you guys this really quick. This thing he does whenever he opens his show.
It's about time that TCU.
Okay, so
it took me a really long time to find an electrolyte mix.
Yeah, it's one of them things, man, where I'm like, gosh, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I'd have thought of that.
It's about time that TCU rediscovered the running game. Oh, yeah, it's Locked On Horned Frogs. Play my music.
Every time?
He does that every time. Play my music, and it hits the music. This is something I think is kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
It just takes a little bit of confidence to do that in front of people. And
that's tonight?
Huh?
That's tonight?
Yeah, we're doing a crossover tonight on TCU, West Virginia. He'll be coming on here. We'll be going live, and then he'll be sharing the video out the next day. So,
Cool.
yep.
I'll be
All
there.
right, guys. Thanks for joining in. I got to let Troy run. I seen him looking at his wife already once, so we better let him go. I just called him out. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I get it. Happy wife, happy life, man. It's all good. Not shooting any vitriol your way over it. I'm definitely understanding your situation. And she's very nice for letting us go over a few minutes. So
No
thank
doubt.
you.
We got the kids coming.
All right, man. Well, hey, look, I will see you guys later. Troy, thanks for coming on, and we'll talk here in a little bit, guys, on Locked On West Virginia with the Horned Frog crossover. Until then, don't forget to cue those country roads.